one of these tiny little chocolate bars is a lot like decimals on a number line. How, you ask? Let's take a look. What we have here is your Hershey's bar broken up into tiny little pieces. So we have the whole bar, and then we can very easily see it's broken into something less than a whole. It's broken into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So if we were thinking about fractions, we could very easily talk about breaking off one of these 4 pieces, and then we would have 1/4, and we'd have 3/4, and we know that together they make a whole. Now, Miss Brown, why are you talking about all these fractions? Because I thought we were talking about decimals. Well, decimals also involve pieces of a whole, just like the fractions of this candy bar. So let's take this one whole candy bar that's broken into 4 equal pieces and look at it in terms of a number line. So what we have going on here is our one whole Hershey bar. If I would just take my number line and make it look as like a rectangle, like my Hershey's bar, then I can think about a number line very easily as a candy bar. So I either have 0 candy bar left, or I have one whole candy bar left. And whenever we're talking about decimals, I always like to think about it as money. So this is like having $0.00, and this is like having one whole dollar, because we know our whole number always has to go on the left side of our decimal. And then our money amount is always 2 numbers or 2 digits past the decimal to the right. So now I've got this looking like money. Well, if I had half of a Hershey bar, or I could think about 2 of the 4 pieces, if I'm thinking fractions, you could easily see that I have half my Hershey bar here. And if we think about that as money, I do not have a whole bar, so I have 0 wholes and half of my chocolate bar, which we would know half a dollar is 50 cents. So I would write it as money. So this is just to get us thinking about decimals showing parts of a whole on a number line. And since we're talking money here really quickly, let's take a look at why I always want to think money with my decimals. And that comes down to what we use every day for our exact money. We have our whole dollar. If this is my one whole dollar, we have a way of splitting it into 100 equal pieces. Ever heard of this right here? A penny. It takes how many pennies to make a dollar? 100. And so if I had 1 cent, I have $0 and 1/100th of a dollar. Also known as, what does this look like, class? $0 and 1 cent. Now, what if I had a dime? I have $0 and, if I think money, 10 cent. What that really means is that I have 1/10, because my 1 is in the 10th place, I have 1/10 of a dollar. Why? Because it takes 10 of these guys to give me my full dollar. And then one last thing is our quarter. Now, how many quarters does it take to make our whole dollar? It takes 4. That's because each quarter I have $0 and 25 cents. And if I had all 4, then I would have a dollar. But this is another way of showing that my half of a Hershey bar is the same as 50 cents, or half of a dollar in decimal format. So decimals and money work really, really, really well together. So we always want to think money when working with decimals. So now let's take a look at a little different type of number line, and that's this number line that hopefully you have in front of you. So the first thing I want to do is go to the numbers that they gave us. So if I jump to the numbers they gave us, I have $0, 0 whole dollars, and 0 cents. I always want to make everything look like money. I have one whole dollar, so 1.00. And then I have 2 whole dollars, 2.00. Now, if I'm thinking in terms of money, I know that this is my whole dollar, or my whole Hershey bar, however you want to think about it. And then if I look at these little lines, these are just breaking up my Hershey bar, my number line, my whole dollar, into equal parts. So, first of all, just like when we talk fractions, we want to know how many total pieces it takes to make this one whole. That way we know what type of decimal place we're looking at. And if we look, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces that make up our one whole. So we would call those tenths. And so you will see for the example that letter A is pointing to this line, which is 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 pieces of our whole. So what they've shown us on your example here is that this line represents 2 tenths. And of course, if we write it as a decimal, we have a 2 in the tenths place. Or we could think about it as money, 0.2 tenths, and we could throw in that money amount on the end. We want to add a 0 to make it look like money, $0.20. So then we could very easily go one more piece, and that would get us to letter B, which is touching 3 of the 10 places that we've shaded. So that would be $0.03, because I want to land in my tenths place. I say the place I land in. If I want to think in the terms of money, I could add that 0, that ghost 0 to the end, because money always has 2 past the decimal. Now let's just jump over to, say, H, way over here. Alright, something interesting has happened here for H. We have crossed the one whole mark. So what we're doing is we're looking at, yeah, I have this whole thing. If I'm going all the way down my number line, I've got this one whole, but now I'm going past it. So I've got 1 and some extra. So again, I want to make my chocolate bar and look at my pieces. And let's see, there should be these should be tenths still, because it appears to be the same size pieces as over here, but we can check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yep, 10 equal pieces. And so, let's see how many of those it takes to get to the H. 1, 2, 3. It took 3 of these pieces past the one whole to get to H. So if I'm trying to write down what H is worth, H is 1 whole and, so it's 1 whole dollar and some extra. How much extra? Well, 3 tenths. And if we think about tenths of a dollar, we know we're talking 3 dimes, or 30 cents, or 3 tenths. So 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths. And we can add our ghost 0 there. Now, this number line is broken into tenths all the way across, the same on the one on the bottom. So you could use the same strategy down here, except you're looking at 6 whole dollars to 7 whole dollars. But you're still looking at tenths. So this is 1 out of 10 pieces. So you're looking at 6 wholes and 1 tenth. Put your money amount on there if you wish. You could use the same strategy above on this number line below. Let's take a look at a different type of decimal number line. Let's look at this one. This one looks a little simpler, and we can still use our money strategy. We've got 3 wholes. I want to make it look like money, so I add decimal 00. 4 wholes, so decimal 00. I want to think $3, $4, and $5. Well, if I was thinking about my whole dollar, what would be directly in the center of $3 and $4. If I'm directly in the middle of $3 and $4, then I'm cutting that amount in half, and so I am thinking that this would be 3.5 or $3.50, because that would make sense for it to be right in the middle of $3 and $4. Same strategy could be used on this side, because B is directly in the center of $4 and $5. Come down to this number line. You've got to look at what they've given you. They've gave me 2 whole dollars, so I'm going to make that look like money, 2 whole dollars. They've given me 2 5/10 of a dollar. So again, if I'm thinking tenths of a dollar, I'm thinking dimes, because it takes 10 of these to make a dollar. Or I could just think, Miss Brown told me the money amount is 2 past the decimal, so I need to add my 0 here. So now I can think that this is $2 to $2.50. Now, if I take my Hershey bar here and draw it out, this one is broken up a little differently. It's not broken into 10 equal pieces. It's broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal pieces. Now, what I want to do is, just like if I'm counting on any other number line or graph, I want to try to figure out how much I'm jumping forward. So let's just say maybe I was counting by 5s. This would be $2.05, 10 cent, 15 cent, 20, 25. That does not work out because I'm trying to get to $2.50. So if I'm thinking there's 5 equal pieces here, and I'm trying to get from 0 to 50 cent, it would make sense for each of these to be worth 10 cent. So this would be $2.10, $2.20, $2.30, $2.40, $2.50. So if I wanted to know E, I'd be looking at $2.30. So you could use the strategy we've looked at so far to get through number lines over here between $7 and $8 whole dollars. You would, of course, use the same strategy as finding out first what is it broken into, and always make these look like money, because decimals and money go hand in hand. This one looks very similar to this one, except we're working with different holes. And then down here is a little bit more of a challenging one, but you've got 0 holes and 0 cent, $3 and 0 cent, and you've got to figure out what you're missing along in here. Very similar to what we've been doing so far. Now, there is one more trickier type of number line I want to look at. Let's figure out what makes this one a little trickier. We've still got $0 and 0 cent, 1 whole dollar and 0 cent, 2 whole dollars and 0 cent. So, what is it that would make this number line a little trickier to work with? Well, let's start by using the same strategy we've been doing, thinking about a chocolate bar here. This is 1 whole. Let's find out how many pieces they've given us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my 1 whole on my number line is broken into 10 equal pieces. So I know we're using tenths. And when I'm thinking about my decimals, my tenths place is whole number, decimal, tenths, hundredths. Well, if my number line is broken into 10 equal pieces, I'm thinking about this place here. But when you look at your answer choices, everything goes a little farther. It goes all the way to the what? To this hundredths place. So this number line is going to use a little bit more thinking to get through. And we will continue to think through this one on our next video.